Good morning. My name is Matt Lasher, and I'm going to be talking to you about integrating age into the workplace, more specifically, challenges modern workplaces have to overcome in order to do so. Before we get to any of those specifics, I wanted to first tell you a little bit about my story. For the last 4 years, I've served as a 42-year-old executive director of a World War II museum, National Historic Site in the heart of San Francisco. During my tenure, much of my effort has been dedicated to creating a sense of purpose around preserving this historical site, and it extends beyond the generation of Americans that served during the Great War. I have spent a significant amount of time trying to bridge the gap between older Americans and the young, tech-savvy generations that are taking over business in the Silicon Valley and the Bay Area in general. This has been challenging for many reasons, but during this talk, I want to go over just a few. The main question of this presentation is, how are our assumptions about age undermining the older among us from integrating into the modern workplace and community spaces? What is causing our resistance to want to work with older members of our community? Let's talk about some of the examples first. The first is the general sentiment that younger volunteers and workers about older Americans in community spaces and workplaces, an increased feeling that older folks are blocking opportunities and programs for younger folks. The second example is really the way we tend to depict our older counterparts, creating negative assumptions about their capabilities. This impacts the desire and willingness of younger workers to take advantage of collaboration with older Americans. And lastly, there are general stereotypes driving the desire to work with younger people instead of older. These stereotypes revolve around performance and capabilities. Let's dig into a little bit deeper into reasons. And really the first reason tied to the first slide is circling back to that initial reason, is this feeling of growing in our communities, that people are living and working longer, and traditional retirement ages and norms are changing rapidly. Additionally, people are finding themselves less financially secure at an older age, driving an overall desire to continue to contribute and work longer into life. Second, are age portrayals. These are unfairly created negative opinions of our older workers. These representations often show weakness, fragility, and helplessness. For stereotypes, it is the dominant opinion that younger workers are more effective, efficient, and productive, and pursuing an older worker or opportunities that contain older Americans slows down the performance and it creates an overall less effective situation. Now that we have covered examples and reasons, let's take a look at the underlying causes of these issues. The first cause really is a lack of social awareness. We're not thinking of health and the economic factors that are driving these resurgent older workers in the workplace, and specifically in volunteerism. Next, we are allowing our preconceived notions of age to play in how we advertise and communicate. These incorrect ideas are stymieing productivity. And for the third cause, our own biased view of work and how age interplays with productivity instead of other more common causes of work decline. For the final part of this talk, let's talk about some ways we can solve these problems. Really, this first solution is we must work to create enforce integration and collaboration. It's not enough to educate, but to expose both young and older workers and create a value through that interaction. For the second, we must challenge our preconceived notions about what age means and how it impacts our descriptions, portrayals, and advertising. We must pursue fairness. And lastly, regarding stereotypes, we must train stakeholders in business and community spaces on how their stereotypes and unconscious biases amount to ageism. Viewing the research is a solid first step. Thank you. Let's try and make age a non-factor in the workplace.